So I recently saw a video, and the video was by an organizational psychologist who teaches over at, I think he's over at University of Pennsylvania. Adam Grant is his name. And the title of the video got me to thinking about music, really. But it was titled "How to Stop Languishing and Start Finding Flow." And the reason I started thinking about music, even before I saw the video, was just the word flow, because it's often used as a musical term. The way I defined it before watching this video was really how to connect my thoughts and ideas musically. You wanted to flow. Basically, you didn't want to sound choppy. You wanted to go from one fragment of thought to the next fragment of thought and make it a coherent statement. Okay, that's the way I looked at it, really musical flow. And so, what he's talking about is flow from the psychological perspective. Um, but I guess before he starts talking about it, if you look at the title of it, it says how to stop languishing and start finding flow. So, what is languishing? I think everybody will know what that means when I say the word blah, especially during the days with the pandemic. It's really more like this sense of stagnation and emptiness. So, it's not depression per se, it's just this sense that you're not moving forward, you're stuck, you're just not accomplishing things. You're just stagnant and you're just kind of like empty. So you're not totally depressed. You don't need to be on drugs or anything like that. And it's really one of those of things that's defined us during the pandemic. We're not seeing people you usually see. We're not going to work. We're not doing regular activities, health, organizing thing, just exercising and things of that nature. So really, there's this sense of languishing. Probably existed obviously before the pandemic, but definitely more so. So it says, well, how do we stop that? Or how do we combat that? And for me, it's music. Music totally defines when he talks about flow. So he starts off, interestingly enough, he says, well, optimism is not the biggest indicator of happiness. Rather, flow is the best indicator of happiness. So, flow could be defined as like being in the zone. We talk about musically, hey, when I'm in the zone, I have my eyes closed, I'm just in the zone, I'm feeling it, put it that way. Total absorption in the activity. I'm sure many of you guys, when you play guitar and instrument, you are so absorbed with it, everything else stops. Read about all the great musicians from Miles Davis to Mozart to Bach. No matter what the genre, they're totally absorbed. They're in the zone. And the third element, at least by this definition, is losing track of time. When you are in the zone, you're totally absorbed in an activity. It doesn't matter about the time. You're not looking at your watch. 2 hours goes by, 3 hours goes by. Hell, you hear stories about people like Monk putting themselves in the closet and then practicing. And so you're losing track of time. Time means nothing to you at that point in time. So that's really how he defines it as, I guess, psychological flow. So he talks about the fact that during the pandemic, that some people had, I wouldn't say negative flow, but a flow that was more passive, binge watching Netflix. Okay. But then the best flow is really something that is more active and not passive. You're not sitting around just watching 5 hours of a Netflix series or anything like that. And again, music to me was just everything he talked about just reminded me of playing music and what helped me throughout a lot of this isolation period that we had or we continue to have. So he goes on and talks about three elements which I thought were critical and were very applicable to just music or playing guitar per se. He talks about mastery, mindfulness, and mattering as the three elements that's required to have what he terms positive flow. So mastery does not mean that you play guitar like George Benson, Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, Miles Davis on the horn, Mozart, or anything like that. So it's not that you are the best and that you've totally mastered this instrument. Hell, you'll never master this. I never will like that. What he means by mastery is progress. If you feel you are progressing in whatever that activity is, then you're beginning to master it. So small wins. So it could be playing children's songs. The more we sing together, things of that nature. But just a sense that you're progressing on the instrument, or whatever the activity is. Then he talks about mindfulness. And this to me is key. It's like focusing your full attention on one task. So when you practice and when you play, this becomes what you're focusing on. We as human beings are always distracted by phone calls, by our cell phone. Just every 2 to 3, 5 minutes, something comes up. Really focusing your attention on that one task. The third element is mattering, knowing you make a difference. Okay, so you've got mastery, mindfulness, and mattering. So the third one's a little bit tricky. Okay, knowing you make a difference. Like, say, well, how does an instrumentalist feel that way? For me, on a personal level, I think at every level, whether you are a beginner or an intermediate or an advanced player, knowing that you bring joy to somebody listening to you, um, that should make you feel good. For me, when I put out a video, I love the fact that people are watching it. I love the fact that people might learn something from that. It makes me feel good that you're watching these videos. So it makes me feel there's a certain level of self-worth and that it really matters. So like I said before, flow. Let's find our flow through something. It could be guitars. It could be another activity. I thought this was a great, an informative video that he did on how to stop languishing and start finding your flow. Hopefully you can find it through music. Thank you for watching. Bye now.